Recording. Hello, everyone. I'm Mojo Medium. Welcome to Woo Wednesdays. This is my weekly, what may just turn into a podcast. I'm not sure, but it is our discussion group for all things woo. And I am, as I said, Mojo Medium, also known as Susan Morrow Johnson. And I am the Destiny Coach. I work with mostly women entrepreneurs who are failing to find the fun, the funds, and the fulfillment that they got into business for. I don't work on the practical, strategic marketing side of your business. I work on the energetic side so that you align with your soul's goals and things actually work and you get in flow and money comes and clients come and you have fun. You find those things that the F's that I mentioned. All right. So I'm going to get started on this. And today we've got Adele with us again. Yay, Adele, welcome. If you missed last week, you might want to go look that up on YouTube because it's on my channel at the MoJo Medium. I'm at the MoJo Medium everywhere. And so you can look that up and see Adele and my conversation from last week because it was really cool. And then Stephanie, welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. How did you hear about us?
I heard about you. We've emailed back and forth a couple of times.
You're that Stephanie.
Yes,
okay.
I'm that Stephanie.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Yes, likewise. It's wonderful to see your face, and I'm going to be seeing you soon on a reading, right? Yeah. So that's exciting. Great. Yes, and by the way, for those watching in the recording who don't know, I'm also a psychic medium, and I still do readings, and they're pretty amazing. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today, I promoted a topic that would be about me. I don't know. Do you remember what's in the email? Hold on one sec. I'm going to go and look it up because I just, I do things that I'm kind of divine downloaded things. And then when I say, oh, here's our topic, then it's like, well, oh, okay. So our topic is supposed to be how to free yourself from the agendas of others, which, I don't even know where it came from, honestly. I was just like, okay, what's the topic? And this is what came out, how to free yourself from the agendas of others. Go figure. So I'm going to write that down real quick so we can talk about that. Usually when I usually do Woo Wednesdays, if I don't have a co-host and it's not just Adele and me, then I then I will give a talk on a topic for a little while. Then we do some discussion, hot seat coaching, and Q&A. And I like to wrap up and throw you a good news only oracle card at the end. Today I have a hard stop by 45 past the hour, maybe a little earlier. So we may not cram in everything that I like to do, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay. How to free yourself from the agendas of others. So this probably means a lot of things to a lot of people, different people. It may not, it could go anywhere from feeling like somebody's put a curse on you, which we can cover, to just having somebody kind of push you around, or like your mom placing expectations on you all the time. And so that's what the topic is about freeing yourself from the agendas of others. And not surprisingly, it has everything to do with you and nothing to do with the others. So I know that that's, like I said, not a surprise. So let's talk about curses first. Curses and hexes and that sort of thing. Evil spells and evil spirits and voodoo dolls and stuff like that. They have no power over you unless you believe that they do. So I've had people ask, what do I do about a psychic attack? Which means that things are going badly and they believe that somebody who doesn't like them is doing something to them. Well, that's not even possible. It's not even possible. That's the kind of thing that's just in your head. If somebody did use a voodoo doll or cast a curse on you or something like that, it would only affect you if you believed it, if you believed it was possible. We talk a lot about, this is one of those big questions for humanity. Why do we suffer? And so throughout humankind, the time on earth. The question has been answered with a lot of far out reasons. Let's call them that. So in Hinduism, for example, the concept of karma, which is not just consequences, like we kind of use the word karma now to mean that, like, oh, karma will come around to bite you on the ass. In Hinduism, the belief is that when you reincarnate into your next life, you will reap the rewards or the punishment of what you did in your last life. And so this is one of those religious things that don't make sense. Because if you can't remember the past life, then it's not fair. It's not even logical. It doesn't make sense. I always say that truth with a capital T has to make sense. So when you hear something in religion or out of religion that doesn't make sense logically, it's probably not true. So that is, for me, doesn't make sense. There's also the concept of you suffer because it's God's will, or you don't suffer, you have a great life, or whatever, that's God's will, and God has his reasons and so forth. And that doesn't make sense either, because again, you have no way of knowing what you've done or haven't done. I mean, how many times have you personally thought, I'm a really good person, why am I having to suffer through this shit? Right? So that is so for example, karma is an attempt to explain that. Karma attempts to explain why you suffer. You must have been an asshole in your last life, right? So somehow it is supposed to make us feel better about learning lessons and having experiences that XYZ, what it give the reason. So the way that I see it is that if you suffer, or if you don't, what comes to you comes from you. What comes to you comes from you. So on some level, conscious, subconscious, soul level, you are vibrating at a frequency that's matching what's coming to you. That when that thing matches your vibe, it comes to you. Now, those different levels, and there are probably more, can be in conflict with one another. Certainly, the work that I do with aligning you with your soul's goals may not be conscious or even subconscious. They may be unconscious. And so sometimes things come your way that you need to stop and say, why, what's the message here? And I mentioned lessons. I prefer the word messages. Again, saying that you have to learn the lesson implies that you can fail, and you can't fail. You can fail to get the message, and then you have to receive it in another way so that it can come in and arrive in your consciousness. But you can't fail. You can't fail at your life. You can't fail at, what you're trying to do and trying to help people and so forth. Another thing about suffering, and this, I'll get back to other people's agendas in just a minute. Another thing about suffering is that I believe very firmly that the gift in pain is to help others with their pain. And there are millions of examples of people who would never have done the wonderful philanthropic, helpful thing that they did on big and small scales if they hadn't had this particular pain. Let's say that, somebody's mother suffered terribly from cancer, and so they became a doctor or a researcher in order to cure that type of cancer, to make things easier for people like their mom. Adam Walsh is a great example. His father, John Walsh, I think. Adam Walsh was a child who was kidnapped and murdered, and his father started a whole movement of trying to prevent that from happening to other children. And so he had a TV show called To Catch a Predator, and he has literally devoted his life to that cause. Now, is that the best way for him to do that? Well, I don't know. I actually was challenged with that question. I'm thinking, well, it's horrible that he suffered and that his son suffered. It's horrible, horrible, horrible pain. But I also see that if there was a need for what John Walsh wound up doing in the world, then there was nobody better to do it. So you can look at all of that way. And I really believe in looking at your pain. What is your pain? What is your greatest grief? What's your sorrow? And helping others with that, especially as you are recovering or healing, and especially after you've healed. All right, we're going to get back to the agendas of others. So the agendas of others, as we've just been exploring, cannot really affect you unless you let them. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt very, very famously said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. So if somebody can put you down all day, 6 ways from Sunday, but if you don't let them bother you, if you just go, whatever, that's your opinion, it can't touch you, it can't hurt you, you're bulletproof. And that's how it is about everything, from curses and hexes to your mom making unreasonable demands on you to everything in between. You know, if you have trouble with your boss and your boss has his or her own agenda, and she's, you know, putting pressure on you to do this and that because she wants to do XYZ. She wants you to make her look good. And so she's hard on you for whatever reason. Again, if you look at it like that's on her, I'm happy to help her to meet her goals if I can. But the fact that she's not meeting her goals really has nothing to do with me. And so this is about freeing yourself. Now then, it's easy to say that. It is easy to say, just blow it off. Just don't take it personally. Whatever. And curses can't hurt you. Just never mind. But sometimes that's not so easy. I mean, we can say that, we can think it consciously, but it's not sinking in, especially because, as you probably know, your subconscious, in its duty to keep you safe and out of danger, loves to keep you in what is familiar, whether you like it or not. And this is why people from children who grow up in abusive households tend to grow up to be adults in abusive households, because it's what's familiar. And I can tell you many a story about that too. And so the structure of your subconscious is keeping you safe, means keeping you in what's familiar, what you're used to, what is normal for you. And so anything outside of that, your subconscious automatically is like, oh, no, that's different. That's strange. Now, can you think of a time in your life when you were looking forward to something, you were very excited about it, and then something happened, you didn't get to do it? Like you got sick, or your car broke down, or any number of things, or something went wrong. Even though you consciously were very excited about doing that thing, your subconscious is very, very capable of calling in all the bodily functions to make you sick, to make you stumble, to make you do something that will prohibit you from doing that. And when I said your car broke down, I also believe that that's a vibe thing. You know, if your subconscious is like, oh no, this is not familiar, and you're excited about it, but I don't care, then there's a vibe going out that's saying, okay, well, come in and match this vibe. And oh, my car broke down, I can't go. So that is a metaphysical, that's a quantum physics kind of a thing, where the vibrations match up, and that deprives you of where you're going. So now that I've explained all that, I'm going to talk about how to keep these agendas from affecting you. And the main thing is, this is at the bottom of pretty much everything, and that is feeling your divine value, knowing and feeling and integrating your divine value, which is to say, sensing your sense of worthiness. So you were born worthy. Your soul is worthy. It is connected to all that is. It is a part of everything. And so you were born worthy of love, joy, and abundance, of having all that you want, love, and joy. But you know, when you are born and you're there, you're the baby, everything's good. you've been taken care of for 9 months. And then at some point around 1.5, 2 years old, mommy or daddy has to slap a little hand and say no. And so that feels like not love. And we have a hard time distinguishing between love and approval, which are different. So this is what messes us up. And I'm talking, I'm playing armchair psychologist here, but I'm also talking about the spiritual side of it. So as we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that human experience means that sometimes it's hard for us to say, okay, I'm not going to let that bother me. But when you focus on your divine value, which is your worthiness, which you have, you focus on increasing your sense of worthiness, how worthy you feel of everything, of letting that roll off your back, of not worrying about other people's agendas, of knowing that that curse or hex or voodoo doll doesn't affect you. When you really, really sink that into, I am worthy. I am worthy of freedom. I'm worthy of freedom of thought. I'm worthy of self-assurance. I'm worthy of self-confidence. I'm worthy of self-esteem. All of those things, when you work on those things, everything gets easier. Everything gets easier. And that is a big part of what I do in coaching clients one-on-one and in workshops and so forth. It's a big part of what I do is we work on that divine value. And remember, I said it's not that you are not worthy, it's that you don't have the feeling of worthiness. All right, I'm going to stop there because that's a big old lecture. So, questions, thoughts, comments, objections?
I
Call out the professor.
I think it's the theme that's going on as we shift right now, because everyone's kind of, well, I shouldn't say everyone. What I'm noticing with people I'm talking to and various clients and stuff is that we're really being tested who we are.
That's interesting.
Right? So how you're saying about whether it's your mom or your boss or whatever, and it's like, those are all outside circumstances that have nothing to do with us. It's like, whatever you think of me, it's none of my business.
Yeah, I like
right?
that.
Because
Yeah.
if I'm working from my truest self, from my heart, I am the divine. I am the God essence.
Yes.
Everything
Yes.
else is like a duck off your back, right?
Yes,
and so
that's
I think
right.
it's really interesting how what I'm seeing in the outside world is that people are being really challenged of, well, is it my boss? Well, how am I creating this? Or like,
Yes.
I just want him to love me, but you don't love yourself. So how is anyone supposed to love you if you don't even want to be with you?
Right.
And so I
And
say,
that,
take yourself out on a date. See how
yes,
you want to be, and then everything else will change.
that's right. And that is what I usually will advise women who are single and don't want to be. I'm like, I loved being single. I've been married hundreds of times and being single is great. I tell my husband, you're really lucky I chose you over being single. You have no idea. I loved it. But most women don't feel that way. Most women want to be with a man or be in a couple. And that's fine. I mean, we're kind of built that way, actually. And then you pile on top of that the culture and the world that we live in, and it's like it's very natural, very natural. What you were saying about there were a couple of things I wanted to touch on. I definitely agree that loving yourself and being it makes it much easier to let other people go and their agendas and the things that they say and so forth, for better or worse. I mean, that even means that, oh, he's so happy. Look, that guy's so happy. And instead of thinking, I wish I were happy too, you just go, that's great. Good for him. The other thing you said, people are being tested, and why did you say, why would this happen or why would this come to me?
Well, it's not about being like, it's not about being tested so much as we're being asked to step up into, like, okay, this is the guidance I'm getting. So we are being asked to step up into our own divine light.
Yes, I agree with
Right.
that.
And so take that karma out of it and say,
yes,
I'm taking responsibility for my dharma. of everything that I
Yeah.
create, everything that I do, everything that I be is in my greatest essence, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right? It's
agree.
like that old proverb, right? Oh, you're so lucky you got a beautiful horse. Maybe, maybe not. Then the son gets hurt, right? He breaks his leg. Oh, we're so sorry. Maybe, maybe not. Then the army comes to recruit him. Oh, he has a broken leg. Can't take him. Oh, you're so lucky. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe not.
Yes. Where did I hear that story? Did you
It's
tell
an
me
old,
that?
no, it's an old maybe, I don't know. It's an old
Never
proverb
heard that
I
from,
have
before.
heard it. I read it somewhere very
yeah,
recently.
it could be even Rumi. I don't know. Don't quote me on that but it's an old proverb from hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
all in what we make the
here's
meaning.
yes, it's about the meaning you give it. And that's what I mean about messages. Again, saying we're being tested, which you have changed to we're being called, which is a good
Yeah.
one. But the testing again, it's like, why am I being tested? Is, it's like the patience of Job being put through all the torture that God allegedly put him through. So again, it's not there's nobody judging you, nobody giving you a grade.
Hmm.
It, if anything is testing you, it's you testing yourself. It's you
Hmm.
saying, I want to learn this. I want to know about this. I want to
Yeah.
experience this. I want to use this in service to others. And so when anything happens, I wrote at least one blog post about it. Why would I attract that? I had clients who would just argue with me. No, I didn't attract that. They also argue about being worthy. No, I know I'm worthy. No, you don't. Why did you go to church all your life and say, God, we know we're not worthy of your grace and love, but you give it to us anyway. Thank you so much. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Well, that sinks in. And okay, sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent there. So back to the messages. So what you want to do when something happens, a good thing or a bad thing, is say, what is the message here? Anything that gets your attention. I say, pay attention to what gets your attention. What's the message here? It doesn't matter what that is, but all of the information that's coming in is for you to use for yourself and the betterment of others. Now, I wanted to touch on what you said about we are being called to evolve.
Yeah, and shine our light.
Yeah, to shine our light. Yes, which I love. I love that. That's some of my favorite stuff in the Bible. I'm not a practicing Christian, but I was raised that way. Some of my favorite stuff in the Bible is in the Sermon on the Mount and in the book of Matthew, where Jesus says, let your light so shine. I love that. And it's also in First Peter, maybe. Each of you should use the talents he has been given, so forth and so on. And I think that is very, very true. And like I said, I'm not a practicing Christian, but some of that info is good. But I think that what I'm seeing is, and have been for a while, is that many, many of us have been called forth as teachers in this time
Mhm.
because humanity is changing. We're at the dawn of a paradigm shift. And so we need all these teachers and supporters and wise people to support and help along those who don't know what's going on, that we can come into greater peace and prosperity. Some of us are already there. Let us help you. And that's what we're here for. So anyway, Stephanie, we have talked and talked and talked. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this resonates very deeply with me and more of a personal level. I am trying to become an entrepreneur, but it's also on just in a fertility level. Been trying to conceive, been told for 8 years I can't have children, um and and I'm just visiting with people saying that there needs to be this self-love and then which I on a conscious level it's like, yeah, I love myself, I'm a good person, but
Yeah.
then still the struggle. And so, and then to your point, Susan, the self-sabotage or whatever, the vibe, messing it up, like, well, I want this, but then this happens. And so it's, I'm trying to reconcile that. And it's what you're saying really is just resonating as far, yeah, on that level.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm
Can
so
I
sorry you're having trouble.
interject?
Yeah. Yeah. What have you got?
Stop trying.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done
Play.
that.
Play.
Yeah, I've done
Nurture.
that too. I've done that.
Yeah.
We did that for a
Yeah.
year, planning our wedding, and we we're just, it's like, okay, we won't try anymore, and then it still didn't happen, yeah. We
Well,
tried
it's
it. I
just
know.
because
We
I've
tried.
helped people. I'm not trying to get a client, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, I've helped people in this, right? You're younger than the people I've helped. Play, stop the schedule, have fun, visualize your womb carrying the baby to term.
Mhm. Try to keep doing
Visualization
that.
can
You
be
and your
really
husband visualize
powerful.
playing with your sons and daughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because most people have it so rigid on the schedule, the
Mhm.
fun is gone. Babies
Yeah.
are born out of love and play.
Yeah.
That's really,
yeah.
really good.
Okay.
And I will go a little bit, I'll go to two other points. The one about the worthiness that I talked about. So what I usually start my clients with, my coaching clients with, is we play a little game where you make a yay list and a boo list. So your yay list is three to five things that are going well that you are excited about in your life or that are just going well. You know, great marriage, plenty of money, you know, house you love, or you know, your cat, whatever that might be. And then we do a boo list, and these are the things that are lacking or not going well. You know, not enough money and not enough fun, and excuse me, wanting to travel and not being able to, or you know, whatever. And so we look at the yay list, and that is evidence that you feel worthy of being, doing, and having those things. And the
Yeah.
same is true for the boo list. You don't feel worthy of being, doing, and having things. And so what I would advise you very strongly is to work on that worthiness thing. And you can do it very simply, just this simple affirmation as you close your eyes to go to sleep, because that is when your brain starts shifting into a different wave frequency. As you go to sleep, you just say, I am worthy of love, joy, and abundance. I am worthy of being, doing, and having all that I want, love, and enjoy. Now, if I were working with you one-on-one coaching, I would give you more and some more specific stuff, and we'd talk about manifestation as well. But for right now, that may help you in some way. It may cause a shift within a couple of weeks if you do it every night. Okay.
Okay. I
So
will.
that,
I'll do it.
yeah, great. Well, that's one of my favorites. That's one of the easiest things I give to people, that is just like, this can have such a huge impact on what you're trying to do. And get it to sink into your subconscious that even though it's not familiar, well, guess what? I'm reclaiming this to be familiar now. I am worthy. I know that I'm going to tap into that subconscious, remove the gatekeeper, and reach in there and go, hey, there's my chunk of the divine, my soul. And I call mine Chunky Divine, which is also conveniently my stripper name. So there's your soul. Hey, man, let's talk. Let's get on the same wavelength. What's going on? That's what it means to get on the same wavelength, by the way. Yeah, I'm having some fun with quantum physics lately. I don't fully understand it. I don't pretend to, but
No,
I get
yeah.
enough of it that
Fascinating.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Were you the one, Stephanie, who you emailed me when we were conversing back and forth? And were you the one who said that matter doesn't really exist?
Oh no,
Oh,
but that's
okay.
fascinating.
Okay. Somebody I was talking to said that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
That's really
And
smart. I
time,
wish I could take
if
credit for that.
I was going to
time
say,
what?
if we're going into the quantum physics of things, time doesn't exist.
Time doesn't exist. That's right.
So if
That's I can't
it's,
wrap my head around that at all. I
well, I
just
know,
I
can't.
know.
well, but we're getting there. We're getting there, right? And so, we, you know, we have to evolve some more thousands of years. But anyways, but so
Probably.
it's also, if time doesn't exist and you're visualizing this soul or souls who are meant for you and your husband, start calling them in.
Hmm.
Because
That's a good idea.
what's meant for you cannot pass you. So
That's true.
for instance, I had a girlfriend from high school who gave up on having kids, like totally gave up. Then I ran into her like a few years ago, and I'm like, you have a what? She has a child. She got pregnant at 50.
50.
50?
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. If
Like
I had
Wow.
done
just
that at 50, oh,
she thought that was like a no, like she got married late in life. They're like, whatever, like, right? Like they never ever dreamt. And I said, but
Mhm.
think about the blessing that your body
Yeah.
has stayed young enough to
yeah.
have this beautiful child.
Yeah.
That's
That
amazing.
is
See, my
amazing.
body's
Yeah.
telling me I'm 42 and my body's telling me we're done. So no more
Yeah.
eggs, no more period, no more like, well, okay. Yeah. So
Well,
Miracles happen every day.
that's
Why
true.
not happen to you?
That's true.
Yeah.
However, I
Mhm.
also tell people like you, Stephanie, that
Yeah.
children can come into your life in many ways.
True, yeah.
And
Mhm.
and I know you've probably already explored adoption and so forth.
Mhm.
Sometimes a child comes into your life and they're your child. And it's not like, oh, it's a consolation prize. And I guess if I couldn't have a biological child, this will do. It's not like that. A child can, and I'm getting chills while I'm talking to you. So
Yeah.
I know you're going to have a child.
Me
And I
too.
think you may
I
only have
absolutely
one.
know it.
Yeah, but I'm feeling the confirmation as I'm talking about it to you. So just remember, just be open and be worthy. And I think that Adele and I are like, this is going to happen for you. This is
Well,
good stuff.
and so here's another example. I have a friend who was a nurse for many, many years, done having kids, wasn't having a kid. One of her coworkers said, "We just saw your son," and she goes, "My son?" Like, I no. And they said, "Yep." Her next shift, she was with that baby, and she went, "Oh shoot, that's my son." Try
Oh,
going home to your husband who thought they were only having two kids.
so this
And
baby was
yeah,
born in the hospital and she
yeah, well,
adopted it.
it was a young mother giving it up for adoption, right? Like, and she had no intention of ever having it, like carrying another child to
But
come
she
bring
saw the
home.
baby and was like, yep,
And
it's my baby.
you cannot imagine that family without this child. Like, he's
Right.
grown
I
adult
love
now,
that.
right? But I mean, you
Yeah,
can't imagine. Like, he was the glue of the wheel,
I love that.
Oh,
right?
I love it.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been wonderful. As I said, I've got to cut it short today,
Yeah.
and I've got a few more things to talk about before I can close.
And we need
So
a card.
we need a card.
A card. Your
Card?
woo magic cards.
Yes, yes. I'm going to draw a card.
Yeah.
That was one
Yeah.
of the things I'm going to do. But first, I want to tell you about, yes, we needed an oracle card. Yes. I wanted to tell you that I mentioned briefly, I think, Destiny Diagnostic. It's a 20-minute brief call that I offer to people. At this point, it's gratis. I'm thinking I might need to charge for it at some point because we dive deep and really fast. And that's where we get started on um, what your soul's goals really are and starting to tune in and align to that. And then also what your next step should be. Now, Stephanie, you mentioned you're trying to become an entrepreneur as well as a mother.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so you and I are going to talk some more about that because I often talk to people who are wanting to start a business or who have just started one, or who think that they want to. And that's a lot of my one-on-one clients have been those folks, and they go from not sure, not clear to this is what I'm going to do. And it's because we get them aligned with their soul's goals. So yeah. So I wanted to mention that. You're both welcome to sign up for that. I will put the link in the chat for you. It's just, I mean, I don't
I
even,
did sign up for it. I think I've got it in a week or two.
oh, wonder.
Okay.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Adele, I'll put it in there anyway, just in case you would like to see it. It's just a Calendly link.
So Stephanie, that's your two babies.
Oh,
What's
you
my
just,
two babies?
Your business and your child.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, I want two babies. I would love to have two kids.
Because
Yeah.
people always think a baby has to be a physical baby. It could be your
Mhm.
company, your yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I do think
That's
about
true.
birthing a business. Yes, absolutely.
Well, then I think like, is that too, is that too, is it diffusing my focus? Like, do I need to focus on one and
No,
then the other?
no.
Mhm.
And actually, based on what Adele said earlier about stop trying, focusing on something else can be really helpful,
True. Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know? So, okay, now we're on to the oracle cards. So these are of my own design. I was guided to create these cards a few years ago after one too many people asked me as a psychic, what bad thing do I need to be looking out for? What do I need to be worried about? And so finally I was like, please stop. This has to stop. And so I thought, what if there were a deck of oracle cards that only bore good news? And that's what these are. So they came out, they're called good news only fortune telling cards. So each one has just a word or phrase, and there's no book or instructions or anything like that, although maybe someday, who knows. I'm busy. I don't have time to do that right now. I haven't even rebranded these, as you can see. These are in my old branding. So anyway, each card is nothing but good news, cannot be considered anything but good news. I'm cutting the deck. I've already shuffled. And I'm pulling the card. And this is to give you something good to look forward to, something to be excited about and to look for. And the reason that this is extra good is that it strengthens your look for the good muscle. And it's a great way to start communicating with spirit better, tuning into your own intuition. Okay, so today's card is, let's see what we've got. Services rendered. Services rendered. Now you could take this, if you had this at home and you drew this card, you could just take it at face value. I like to see if I can put a little psychic interpretation on it. Okay. All right. So it took me a minute to tune in on that. This is about you rendering services to somebody else. So as entrepreneurs, it would mean, here, see that a little bit better. Adele and I, for example, might get a new client, services rendered. Stephanie, since you haven't started your business yet, it might be something else that you get to serve someone else, and for money or not. And I always talk about service that way, for money or not. You can choose how you want to do things. But the opportunity to be of service is a wonderful opportunity. Stephanie, I'm picking up this may be something where you're helping someone who's actually in a crisis. Like,
oh, I'm good at that. I'm actually good at helping people in crisis. I don't know what it is. Like,
maybe that's the kind
out.
of business you need to go into, is crisis management.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I'm feeling like you'll see a car wreck and go help the people or something like that. So I mean,
yeah.
not talking about something that's too tragic, but something you can actually help with, and you'll be like, oh, I got to be an angel today and help someone.
That's oh my gosh, that's that's definitely
okay. So this is hilarious. We're so in tune, Susan.
All three of us, yeah.
Right? Because I'm saying I didn't get the help in tragedy, but I'm like, you go and help just by like, hey, I'm showing up, whatever, what do you need? Here's a cup of coffee. And they turn around and hand you the information, whether it's for your business, your child, whatever. They hand you the information and you're just like, synchronicities, love it.
That you need, that she needs, you mean?
That she gets out of the service. Like you hand them a cup of coffee, like whatever. Not a big deal, right?
That's beautiful.
And then they connect like, oh, you need this information
that I have for you, that I can offer to you. That's beautiful. I love it.
Services
all right,
rendered.
Ladies, and
that was chills.
yeah, I know, it's awesome. It's awesome. So I am excited about all of this, and I'm so glad y'all were here with me today. I totally believe that in divine timing, and to just have the two of you here today, I think it's perfect. And guess what? We've just helped a whole bunch of other people who are going to see this in the replay.
Yeah.
So thank you both for being here and being part of our sacred trinity of witches here today.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I like it too. That's fun. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.